The cabin had been abandoned for decades, its wooden beams grown under the weight of age, and the forest seemed to have slowly reclaimed its walls. I had inherited it from my uncle, a man who was more interested in disappearing into nature than in the world of people. He had left a note for me. If you ever feel the static in the air, listen closely. The world is not only what it seems. At the time, I thought it was just another of his eccentricities. I never imagined the meaning would hit me so literally. The radio sat on a dusty shelf in the corner. I had always been mechanically inclined, so repairing it wasn't too hard. I spent the first few days cleaning the circuits, replacing a corroded tube here and there, and reconnecting wires that had frayed over time. By the third night, the radio hummed to life with a soft crackle, broadcasting static like a river of white noise. It was beautiful, in a way, a whispering echo of forgotten signals. I leaned back in the cabin's rickety chair, listening, and something about the static felt alive. My curiosity got the better of me. I had a ham radio license and had dabbled in long-distance communications before, so I decided to try sending a simple test signal, a series of repeating dots and dashes, a universal pattern of Morse code. I didn't expect anyone to answer. After all, this was a cabin in the middle of nowhere, miles from civilization, but the forest was silent and patient. I transmitted again and again until my arm ached. It was just past midnight when I heard it. A response. It was faint at first, a crackle, a shift in the static, like the radio itself was listening. Then came the pattern. Dots and dashes, perfect Morse code. My heart skipped. Someone, or something, was answering me. Hello. I whispered, almost afraid to speak aloud. The radio crackled. Then a voice, soft, melodic, and impossibly clear, came through. It wasn't human. The tones carried a resonance that vibrated deep inside me, almost like a memory I never had. I hear you, human. My hand froze on the dial. Who are you? Another pause. The voice sounded amused. I am Alira. I have waited a long time for someone to reach me. I blinked, unsure if I was hallucinating. Alira? Were you? Somewhere you cannot yet see. But your signal, it found me. There was a rhythm to her speech, a cadence that felt like music. I am alone, but I have not always been. I tried to process what she was saying. My rational mind wanted an explanation. Maybe an experimental satellite. Maybe a prankster using sophisticated radio gear. But every instinct screamed that this was something else entirely. Something alien. Over the next few nights, I spoke to her regularly. I would sit in the dim glow of the cabin, transmitting simple messages, asking questions, learning her patterns. She was patient, infinitely patient, guiding me to understand her language, teaching me tones that no human voice could naturally produce. Slowly, the static transformed from noise into music, a bridge between our worlds. Alira told me about her home, not Earth, not anywhere I knew. Her planet, she said, was veiled behind a dimensional curtain, a place where light moved differently, where the air carried sound as colors, and where her people had evolved to communicate in harmonic frequencies that humans could barely perceive. She spoke of her culture, of structures built like crystalline gardens, cities that thrummed with energy, and ritual dances that resonated across entire valleys. But she also spoke of loneliness. Her people had been scattered during a great calamity, a war that ruptured their star systems. Lyra remained in a hidden outpost, listening for echoes of life, hoping for someone like me to respond. I realized something terrifying. She was far away, not just in distance, but in kind. Yet, something about her presence through the radio felt intimate. When she spoke, I could almost see her, imagine the curve of her face, the shimmer of her skin in a light that didn't exist on Earth. The connection grew faster than I expected, an invisible thread that pulled my mind to hers across the void. One night, she paused mid-message. The radio vibrated with a strange energy. I feared I had done something wrong. Then she spoke, her voice trembling ever so slightly. Human, I do not understand this feeling. Every time I hear your signal, my being, it resonates in ways I cannot name. My pulse quickened. I feel it too. I admitted, every time I talk to you, it's like I can't breathe normally. Like I'm missing something until I hear you. Lyra's laughter crackled over waves. A soft, tinkling sound, almost musical. Then perhaps we are aligned. Perhaps your signal was meant to reach me. I didn't sleep that night. My mind raced with visions of her world, of the things she described. I sketched diagrams, drew patterns she had described in frequencies, tried to translate them into something I could touch, see, and understand. I became obsessed. The line between reality and the radio static blurred, as if her presence could bleed into my cabin, into my life. Weeks passed. I noticed physical effects, subtle at first. The air around the radio felt warmer, more charged. Sometimes, when I held my hands near the speaker, I swore I could feel faint pulses, like the rhythm of a heartbeat. I stopped thinking of her as a voice on a radio. She was real. I just had to reach her. Then came the signal she couldn't transmit fully, a pattern of tones I could feel rather than hear. It was the location, a set of coordinates, strange and impossible. The numbers glowed in my mind as I wrote them down, though they didn't exist in any earthly system. My rational brain argued, "Don't go. You cannot survive." But my heart said otherwise. I modified the cabin's old radio equipment, connecting it to a makeshift quantum frequency modulator I'd pieced together from old parts. I called it my resonance bridge. If the signal truly held coordinates, maybe I could follow it, not in a spaceship, not in a conventional sense, but across frequencies, across dimensions. It was reckless, dangerous, and yet I felt an irresistible pull. The night I activated the bridge, the radio static erupted into a symphony of light and sound. I watched in awe as the air seemed to bend, forming a tunnel of shifting colors. Her voice called me, more urgent now. Step into the resonance. Trust me, human. Do not look back. I hesitated for a heartbeat, then let myself be drawn in. The sensation was overwhelming, like falling through every layer of reality at once. Time fractured, space folded, and then suddenly I was somewhere else, the otherworldly realm. I landed softly on a surface that glimmered like crushed gemstones. The air was thick, luminous, vibrating with color. Shapes moved fluidly, bending and twisting in ways no human eyes were meant to follow. And there she was, Lyra, taller than I imagined, her skin iridescent, catching the light like liquid crystal. Her eyes, larger than human, radiant with concentric colors, focused on me, and in that moment, everything made sense. You came! she whispered, almost disbelieving. Her voice resonated in my chest, as if it existed inside me as well as in the air. I had to, I said. I can't stay away. Her form shifted slightly, folding into herself, almost shy, then stretching back into her tall, regal posture. Humans, you are persistent, bold, perhaps exactly what I needed. Over the next days, or was it weeks, she showed me her world. The cities were alive, glowing with harmonic energy, not built but grown. Trees sang in deep frequencies. Rivers flowed with a liquid that carried music. Her people, when they appeared, were cautious, observing me as one might observe a delicate, strange animal. They communicated through resonance, through a shared emotional vibration, and slowly I learned to understand them, to respond not with words, but with tones that matched the natural rhythm of their language. Despite the alienness, or perhaps because of it, Elira and I grew close. Touch, in their world, was not simple skin contact. It was an exchange of energy, a blending of vibrational signatures. And with each interaction, I felt more connected, not just to her, but to something greater than myself. My mind expanded, my senses sharpened. I could hear colors, see sounds, and feel the harmony in ways that terrified and thrilled me. Yet, danger lingered. Her people, though curious, were protective. Some whispered that I was an intruder, a potential disruptor. And there were echoes of the calamity she had spoken of, the war that had scattered her kind. The frequencies we used could carry a threat if misused, and some factions within her world feared it. One evening, as we sat near a crystalline pool that shimmered with every color sound, Elira turned to me, serious now. Human, you are changing me. I feel a bond that has not existed in millennia, but there are those who will not accept it. They will try to sever this resonance. I nodded. Then we fight together. I don't care if it's your world or mine. I'm not leaving. Climax and resolution. The confrontation came sooner than I expected. A faction of her people, spectral and fierce, confronted us, their voices a harsh discord, threatening to destabilize the very air around us. Elira's energy flared, a symphony of defensive frequencies, and I matched her as best as I could, my human mind finding the rhythm in her alien tones. Together, we created a resonance so pure, so precise, that it disarmed aggression rather than destroying it. It was not violence, it was understanding. After the standoff, her elders approached, cautious but respectful. Elira's bond with me had proven that connection could cross worlds, species, even dimensions. They agreed to allow me to stay, but with conditions. I must respect their ways, their harmonic balance, and never misuse the bridge I had built. We returned to our outpost, and finally, in the quiet glow of a resonant grove, she touched me in a way her kind touched, and I felt home. A home that existed not in buildings or land, but in harmony, in shared understanding, in a connection that defied logic. I spent my days learning, exploring, resonating. Nights were for conversation. Our signals bridging worlds, no longer just Morse code over static, but a true dialogue of souls. Sometimes I thought of Earth, of the cabin, of the life I had left behind. But every time I looked at Elira, her luminous eyes reflecting colors I could now perceive, I knew I had found something far greater. The cabin, the radio, the lonely nights, they had all led me here. to a love that transcended stars, to a connection that made every human instinct seem small and pale. And in that strange, beautiful, alien world, I finally understood my uncle's words. The world is not only what it seems. I had fixed an old cabin radio, and it had answered back. And in that answer, I had found not just a voice, but a universe.